yesterday was a pretty good day, if you don't mind me asking. I managed to get a few things done, and of course, I managed to actually catch a glimpse, or well, not really a glimpse, most of the CNN town hall that featured Donald Trump. And my God, was it glorious. If you're telling me that somehow Trump has lost his touch, he hasn't. It's already been nearly 7, maybe 8 years since he actually got that escalator and announced that he was running for president of the United States. People did not think that he was actually being serious, but then he actually became the front runner, and then he actually won. And thanks to his bombastic attitude, he managed to obtain the presidency. And he still has that attitude. He hasn't changed one bit. And CNN was obviously trying their best in order to box Donald Trump, because because we have seen that the mainstream media has not been trying to talk about Donald Trump. They have been constantly trying to push him back, so that way there isn't anything to talk about. So that way there isn't much media attention to somehow make sure that he doesn't become the next president of the United States. But the CNN town hall definitely changed all that. This has given Donald Trump an opportunity, a platform, in order to speak to an entire audience, the American people, about his objectives if and when he becomes president of the United States. And he hit it he wiped the floor clean with CNN. The moderator, I'm reading a little bit of the New York Post just to make sure that I get all this correctly. Kaitlan Collins was probably the worst moderator I have ever seen in my entire life. She was just constantly rude. She kept on interrupting Donald Trump. She was okay, people are absolutely right. This was not actually a true town hall. In fact, if I recall, about maybe 6 questions, 8 at most, 8 questions from the general audience were actually talked about on CNN towards Donald Trump. The rest were by the moderator, and the moderator was basically debating Donald Trump constantly and trying to use some fact checks. Well, frankly, one of my favorite times was when he actually had the receipts, the actual tweets that he's made just prior to January 6th, because of course CNN wanted to project that somehow that he was at fault with the insurrection that occurred on January 6th, that he did not promote peaceful protests, and he wanted to take over our democracy. Well, he actually brought about the tweets, he showed them to the entire audience, and it just dispelled the entire narrative. It just made her more like a clown than she already was. And of course, there was the issue with E. John Carroll, how he thought that the verdict was a disgrace. I did so too. In fact, I may make another video about that. But from what I've seen, it was obviously ridiculous. And he did make fun of her a few times. But of course, CNN afterward went on to go and say, well, they made fun of a sexual abuse victim. And I'm like, this is Donald Trump. What the hell do you expect? But that's just one of a few times that I actually thought he hit it out of the ballpark. The next one was with Ukraine. How Caitlyn Connor was trying to box him on who does he want to win, Ukraine or Russia. Although, to be fair, she's been trying to do this throughout the entire debate, especially with the abortion issue, with how she said that, oh, Mr. President, if you were to become president, would you sign a federal ban on abortion? And he said, I would rather negotiate so that everyone would be happy. Now, of course, that wouldn't be, in my personal opinion, that shouldn't have been the answer, but I understand what he was trying to do with dodging the question. Because this should be left to the states to decide. In fact, that's what I would say. Why are you asking me? This should be left to the states to decide, not the federal government. But nonetheless, I'm pretty sure that even then, that would be like, that girl would be like, oh, that's not a good issue. Would you actually support this? And then she would constantly go on there, yeah, and she was so frustrating. I just love the fact that Donald Trump called her a nasty woman. Pretty spot on. And that and the entire audience laughed. CNN's audience laughed although to be fair, they were stacked with many Republicans and independents, and I think a few Democrats. But overall, Donald Trump did win the crowd. Now back to Ukraine. She tried to box him in on whether he supports Russia or Ukraine, and he specifically said that he prefers to negotiate between the two sides to end the stupid conflict. And of course, she did not like that. Again, trying to box Donald Trump, and he would not have that. It was intentional. They were trying to make Donald Trump look like a war hawk. But of course, in typical Trump fashion, he was like, fuck you, I am not going to play your stupid game. In fact, he did the exact opposite. He decided that he was going to play, as he should, the negotiator. Not something to be involved about. Not something that we should be involved about. And even he made a pretty good point about how America's been spending roughly 120 billion. It could have been 150 billion. I can't remember at the top of my head. While Europe is paying 20 billion, and they're the ones who are most affected by this conflict. And he said they should pay the money more up front, and honestly, I'm under complete agreement. It's completely ridiculous how our own allies are just not paying up front with being involved with this conflict that supposedly they say that's a major issue for them. But I'm digressing. Finally, was my favorite part, and this I think was when he hit out of the ballpark, was when the moderator specifically asked, would you accept the elections would you accept the results of the election in 2024? And Donald Trump specifically said, if they are honest, I will happily accept them. And she asked the question 3 times, and it's still the same answer if they're honest. But then she decided to put words in Trump's mouth and say, "Oh, so you will not accept the results of the election." And everyone in the crowd booed her. Oh man. I just love CNN to get their comeuppance. And speaking of comeuppance, they've been bombarded by the liberal left, including people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, saying that they should have actually demolished Donald. They should have demolished Donald Trump. They should have gone harder on Donald Trump. I don't know how they could have at that point, because they already were against Donald Trump, and they were pretty vocal about it. And AOC went so far as to say they shouldn't have given Donald Trump a platform, despite the fact that he is the front runner for the Republican Party in 2024. So, forgive me, but last time I checked, the American people deserve the right to know what their candidates specifically want. To remove them of that right basically violates the First Amendment of not just a lot of media companies that actually want to do something like that, but also the presidential candidates themselves, i.e. Donald Trump. And it was a walk in the park. CNN has just been trying to cope with this situation, saying that it was all lies, and he was making fun of the sexual abuse victim and yada yada yada. Guys, Donald Trump has never left. He has never left. In fact, I would say that he's bigger than ever before. He may have been on the sidelines like in, say, 2022, but now he is front and center. He has never truly left. If you honestly think that he left or he changed, this town hall should prove otherwise. And I'm pretty sure this alone secured him the frontrunner nomination for the Republican Party in 2024. Completely secured it. I don't know about 2024, especially with the possibility of irregularities going on. But I will say this, because what I've seen with what just happened in the town hall, plus with recent polling, which, although to be fair, you should take with a grain of salt, showing Donald Trump being ahead of Joe Biden by at least 7 points, I kind of feel happy. That does not mean that we should just simply stay on the sidelines. We need to get to work. If we want to get Donald Trump back into the presidency, we have to get to work and help support him. But this alone, his actions, his words, the coverage of the mainstream media, and finally just how he acted, how much he wooed the crowd. He definitely has won without even beginning. He won the Republican nomination for President of the United States. My name is Noah Meehan on The Arc Truth. Please post your comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, share your friends. Also, if you have any issues regarding how I speak or any improvements I should make in my videos, please post them in the comment section down below or directly message me. Thank you.
Almost heaven.